The idea, though, was to look at something from a different perspective and not from sort of the normal perspective, and to look at, again, there was this like vision of hope that we had at the very beginning of it, to see, the worst tragedy people talk about is to experience the death of your own child. In this case, these people experience the death of their child and have to deal with the fact that he was responsible for the murder of all of these other people, and so they're dealing with guilt and shame and self-blame and, not allowed to mourn the loss of their own child. And like, to us, that, and I have a new son. I mean, to us, that's like the depth of human suffering in a way. And so to see where you go from that is what we were trying to experiment with.
And for me, it's a no-brainer, because I already know that script with those two leads, this movie is going to get into Toronto, Cannes, Sundance, one of the big three for sure. And so I'm willing to take a smaller part in a movie like this to be a part of such a thing. The whole movie is the point of view of the parents of a shooter. And it's all the drama they go through and the tribulations they go through. And while they're vulnerable, here I am on the news saying these parents are responsible. They should be found. They should be put in jail. And really, I guess I'm a villain in this movie.
When I read the script, obviously it's a very heavy subject matter. And I never shy away from that, but I found the fact that it didn't so much focus on what the crime was that committed, but the relationship between the father and the mother, and how they're dealing with their relation to each other. And I think what really compelled me was the guilt that they felt. They felt like it was their fault that their son had done something like this. And I think the reality is, it isn't anyone's fault. How can you possibly know that your son is going to do something like that? And these were good people. That son did something bad, very bad, and had to deal with the ramifications of that.
I just feel like it's a side we've never seen. It's so easy to take someone who's done something quite heinous and just objectify them and make them evil and blame someone. I think we as a society, we need to blame someone so desperately, and I guess personally I don't think it's all that cut and dry. It's really just not that easy. So that's just a little exploration we're doing here.
Well, I mean, it's no different to any other film I've done. It's acting, so it's always emotional. Certain stories aren't more emotional than other stories. They're just different kinds of stories. So it's no harder to get out of doing something like this than it is to get out of doing something like, Underworld or whatever. I mean, it's all storytelling. So you put everything you can into it when you're doing it, and then you let it go.
Incredibly moved and inspired, and found all the emotions I was having very complicated. And from what I'm hearing from audience that sees it, that's what people feel. They don't know what to feel. It's terribly complicated, the shame, the guilt, is it my fault, is it his fault, and what that is, especially parents. Sometimes I read a script and I get to page 20 and I'm like, I can't do that. It doesn't sort of move me, but this one I paged through and I understood the emotional journey of these characters and got excited to do it.